Hello everybody, this is Starman, and welcome back to Let's Play Betrayal at Krondor. Well, this will probably be the last video for Chapter 5. We have been sent out to go looking for a group of Mordhel magicians, and this house right here is where we will find them. And as I said last time, this is probably the most difficult fight in the game because these guys, depending on how the first round goes, can kill you instantly. But thankfully, we've got a few tricks of our own. Patras stopped. James took a few more steps before he realized the magician wasn't with him and was turned to find him staring off into the bushes with a comical, questioning look. "Something ain't right about things here," Patras said, turning in a slow circle. "Ain't what they appears to be at all. And if a thing ain't what it looks like, that means it's wearing some kind of mask." "What are you babbling on about?" Locklear asked. "The invisible magicians, you donkey!" Patras shot back. Almost imperceptibly, his mouth began to move, silently forming words long forgotten. His lips began to move faster, in sync with a secret accelerating rhythm only he could know. Then he gave voice to the words, and they tumbled from his throat, louder and louder until he was nearly shouting. James saw a strange shimmering in the air. He turned to look, but before his amazed eyes he saw a huddled pack of Mordhel spellcasters. So yeah, 6 spellcasters, and they immediately froze and fireballed Patras. Which means he's not going to be any help at all in this fight. That's going to be all we can do to keep these guys moving. And now, thankfully, they're going to focus on taking Patras out first. Which means we have a chance of maybe being able to kill these guys. The trick of this combat being to try and maneuver ourselves to where we are taking out the ones before they get a chance to actually work a spell. Now, admittedly, I had bought that infinity pool and the other magic artifacts expecting Patras to be able to use them at this point. Because usually it seems like it's one of the fighters who gets taken out rather than Patras, but at this point we have this. This is why we've also been stockpiling our healing potions. Thankfully, we will get a fair bit of magical loot off of these magicians. But we're only going to bother with the magical loot, including another infinity pool. And a spell scroll for Night Fingers, which probably the most useless spell in the game, but at least we didn't have to pay 400 gold for it. And Wrath of Killian, a spell I don't believe we've had opportunity to get yet, which Patras does not have. Actually, I think maybe we did get that one. That's the landmine spell, which can be useful. And nothing in here but spoiled rations and a whetstone. Well, with that done, we're going to go ahead and make a stop back by the Grumbling Magician and stockpile restoratives and magic items for Patras. Because we're not going to need this money where we're going. And yeah. Let's see, we're stockpiled on rations, magic items. Yeah. We'll go ahead and keep the sword, even though we probably don't need it. And we're stockpiled on venom, so we've spent as much money as we can. That 4,000 gold is probably going to go to waste. But we are as well fitted as we possibly can be for Chapter 7. So nothing else to do but find Duke Martin and go on to defend Northwarden. Scratch one group of Mortal magicians. We found them, Duke. Good. I want you three to hurry into the castle. They've already turned back an irritation assault today, and I think the Baron could use your help right now. I need to find out what's happened to one of our scouts that's gone missing. I'll be along as soon as I can. And I take it back. We actually do get a chance to go to the shop. So we can unload the last of our gear here. So I'll go ahead and sell that sword. And let's see what else. Well, we'll go ahead and get some extra venom. Because we will have some poisoning issues to worry about as well. And to the palace. The portcullis creaked. A ashen-faced soldier trembled as he labored at the monolithic peg wheel, his back arched backwards, taut as a bowstring, as he hauled the iron gate upwards. With a jerk of his neck, he gasped between clenched teeth for James and his companions to hurry inside. Within a handful of soldiers hurried to various tasks on the battlements, and panicked captains attempted to rally the surviving contingents of the day's fighting. Something's wrong, James muttered, observing disarray. What's happened? Baron Gabbett's been murdered! That's what happened! A nearby soldier shouted, glancing up from where he worked feverishly and unplugging a keg of oil. We found a bloody nest of nighthawks in our midst. They murdered the Baron's staff and 3 of the captains before we cornered them in the storeroom. Torch those corpses immediately, James ordered. They might be Black Slayers. Where's Duke Martin? Don't know. You're the closest thing we have to nobility at the moment. Guess that puts you in command, Seigneur. James said nothing as a rumble of thunder split the sky. Half-dead soldiers tramped past, their eyes hollowed with exhaustion, as they traded places with equally worn men brought from the dining hall turned infirmary. Few men still possessed clothing unstained by blood. Dour at the turn of events, James eyed the horizon for any sign of help. In all likelihood, the Mordhel would attempt to breach the wall today, and there would be little he could do about it. Nighthawk treachery had silenced their cannons, and too many men had fallen in 4 days of heavy fighting. Attack! A voice screamed as those. Attack! Men to the south face! James cast a fuming curse into the sunrise. He might die, but he would send as many Mordhel as he could reach into the halls of the Death Goddess before he would go down. The Mordhel flashed. As life dimmed in his horrified eyes, he toppled backwards into a wooden balustrade. With an ear-splitting shriek, the railing sundered into flying splinters, tumbled after his flying feet as he disappeared into nothingness. Almost too dazed to breathe, James bolted to the wall to the sight of his fallen opponent. A crumpled heap of armor lay far below, splashed in gore and a spreading stain of red. Close by, a grim-looking figure lowered his crossbow and tilted up his shaggy dark head to favor the seigneur with a rare smile. Arufa. I was beginning to think you were going to miss all the fun. Delacan would think me impolite if I didn't attend this little party. How are the men? Very bad. Of the original garrison of 415 men, 227 are dead, 35 are mortally wounded, and the rest are afflicted with dysentery or are too exhausted to wield a sword. Your arrival came none too soon. No discourtesy intended, Prince, but why did you wait so long in coming? We made all haste nearly to the point of calamity. Your well-meaning messengers bumped into trouble and nearly didn't win themselves free. Consequently, didn't receive your word until it was nearly too late for us to respond. We were greatly fortunate to arrive as soon as we did. The Mordhel were in retreat? What few of them remain, by all accounts of my scouts, they think there may have been at least 6 companies in the hills. About that, since they didn't have the decency to attack all at once, we couldn't tell. If our trackers are to be believed, 4 of those companies slipped out a week ago, the other 2 kept your forces pinned down. The rest apparently turned southwest. Sounds like they mean to strike at High Castle. Undoubtedly, since the Mordhell leader has mimicked many of the moves his predecessor Romandus made, it stands to reason he'd make many of the same mistakes. As precaution, I split my forces and diverted half of them to High Castle. As soon as we're finished cleaning up here, we'll take the rest of our companies to engage him there. And this brings us to Chapter 6, Betrayal. As in the titular Betrayal in the title, Betrayal at Krondor. Yeah, I'll bet you're wondering why this was called Betrayal at Krondor when we haven't had a betrayal, and very little of the stories actually take place in Krondor. Well, let us read on. Let me just get a quick drink here. I feel like an NPR host here. Pug concentrated on the storm. Whitecaps curled on the face of the bitter sea as furious jags of lightning slashed down from a darkening sky. Far off, the wobbling sails of ships leapt in the troughs of gray waves, struggling desperately against winds which threatened to shear them into ragged scraps. Fishermen and frenzied shipmasters busied themselves along Krondor's docks as they raced to batten down flapping hatches and prevent unsecured goods from pitching into the churning seas. Everywhere there were planks and hammers and ropes, but among the workers not a soul dared utter a word. Wrongness. Pug sensed it as clearly as he smelled the salt in the air, and felt the hardwood railing under his hand. What had begun 3 days ago as a seemingly weak summer squall was intensifying into a thrashing eye of violence. Within hours it could make landfall, doubtlessly bruising the livelihoods of many coastal towns, Krondor among them. Perhaps it can be tamed, Pug thought, his face twisting into a frown. More of a lesser path affair, but it should be simple enough. Even as he extended his hand, the image of another storm formed in his mind unbidden. A terrifying storm that had raged over his head as he came into the greatness of his power in a far-distant empire called Suranuani. A storm that had tested his right to be a member of the alien assembly of magicians. A storm that had rent open the heavens and forever set him apart from other mortal men. Yes, this is describing Pug's final test to join the magicians on the world of Kellowan, as seen in the book Magician. Energy leapt from Pug's outstretched fingers into the heart of the storm, exploding within it as a glorious rainbow pattern that illuminated the clouds in a throbbing elemental display. Greenish bands of color danced the sky as the wind began to abate, the torrential rains quickly softening to a mild pattern as blue blasts of energy moved between sea and sky. Gently, the ocean stilled of its own accord. Satisfied the thrust was reduced, Pug discontinued the spell with a slicing gesture and stepped back to watch the storm's progress. The sight eased his mind and allowed him time to mull over a series of issues, not the least of which was the ruined vacation that he, his wife Catala, and daughter Gamina had intended on making in Krondor. But like a lodestone to metal, he found his thoughts returning again and again to recollections of the Empire. Arrayed in flame the enemy comes, to shriek his cadence on skeleton drums. For thunder's spite will raise our call, though down shall crumble empire all. A Surani poet, I believe he was a House Omekhan. House Manawabi, reign of the 53rd light of heaven. Is there something you need to see me about, Makala? I am busy. Busy? You've been behaving like a Nidra bull if a burn is bit. I came to ask what has Pug of Starduck so distracted that he cannot find time to meet with his associate magicians. Has his reputation so inflated that a member of the Sarani Assembly is no worthy of his attention? I am sorry, perhaps you are right. I've just been very preoccupied. I find myself obsessed with this storm. All week I felt it building over the bitter sea, and all the while I have suspected there is more to it than is immediately perceptible. It doesn't feel natural. Have you seen its like? I have seen its match in destruction. As I recall, you created far more havoc in Suranuani when you disrupted my Emperor's Imperial Games. Several city blocks destroyed, countless lives lost, the warlord cast down in dishonor. I had a feeling you didn't summon a rift door to chastise me about my lack of attention. What is this about, Makala? Your loyalties, Pug. While you claim loyalty to the Empire, you live your life under the influence of Midkemian king and took to wife a Thuril Highlander. Your judgment is suspect. From the day I left the Empire, my judgment and my loyalty ceased to be the concern of the Assembly of Magicians. I do what I see as best for all concerned. I see. Then is any act justifiable to that end? If it serves the common good, yes. Even if it violates an individual's rights? What do you wish for me to say, Makala? You lead me as if I were one of your needler cows, but I am no mood for games. State your business. Very well. Your daughter Gamina has blossomed into a remarkable young woman. She is beautiful, gracious, an honor to your house. Unfortunately, she is also a girl with remarkable powers. Your love for your daughter has led you into a grievous miscarriage of your duties. Why have you let her live? My estimation of a person's magical talents is not determined by their sex, Makala, and I refuse to murder my child to appease a barbaric tenant of the Assembly. They have no authority on Makemia. Yes, by Surani law, only men are allowed to practice magic, and any woman who dares to work magic is put to death. In this instance, I believe they will choose to ignore the geography. At this juncture, the Assembly is troubled, surrounded by anti-traditionalists who embrace your Makemian values, led in large part by Mara of the Okama. That would be the titular Mistress of the Empire from the, well, Mistress of Empire trilogy that Raymond Feist co-wrote with writer Janie Wurst. Open defiance by you as our most notable member could weaken our position within the Empire, and that is something we cannot afford. We would be forced to make you publicly comply. Although I am equally wary of female abomination, I have no desire to see your daughter dead. I have acted on your behalf and placed her in exile until such time as we can agree upon her ultimate fate. Yeah, nice guy. Why didn't you consult me? Where have you sent her? Seek her if you wish, but it will avail you little. Your further interference will likely ensure that the Assembly will carry out its order of death. They will be unable to kill her, however, if they cannot find her. It would be to your advantage to leave her be. I will not content myself to sit here while the Assembly banters about the value of my daughter's life. I shall find her, and then you will tell your brethren to expect my visit. You embark on a dangerous road, but it is yours to take. Farewell, then, Pug. The Book of Macross. And so we go to Chapter 6, Find the Book of Macross. The meditation tower being one of the first places I suspected of looking. I went there as soon as I discovered that neither he nor my daughter appeared for breakfast this morning. There I found the message that he had burnt into the wall. The Book of Macross? What do you think the message means? I thought for a while that he intended for us to contact the magician named Macross, but that would be a feat impossible even for Pug to accomplish. Macross left Makemia long ago, and all he left behind were his writings. And presumably this Book of Macross would be among the books he left behind. Perhaps, but I cannot be certain. The library that Macross left on Sorcerer's Isle was vast, and it took us the better part of a year to move the bulk of it to the Academy at Starduck. Since that time, some of the volumes have been lent out to various scribes so they could be catalogued and transcribed. Then the book could be anywhere, a new approach. Before he disappeared, did you note anything unusual that he might have said or done? As I said earlier, he seemed agitated for some long time, but yes, there was something. About a month ago, we were walking in the gardens outside the palace, just the two of us enjoying the day, when he suddenly halted near a sewer grate. When I asked him what was wrong, he said, "Not all the sheep are in our fold." Sheep? Forgive me, lady, but your husband seems to have an infuriating penchant for the cryptic. Not ordinarily, no, only when things are on his mind. But come, I must head towards Starduck and look for evidence of this Book of Macross there. Where will you two go? We go into the sewers under Krondor, Owen, good lady. I believe we shepherds have an errant flock of sheep to find. And indeed, we will start Chapter 6 in the sewers of Krondor. And, odd thing is that there are several ways that you can start the search in this chapter, and many places that you can go to eventually get you on the road to where we need to go. Ironically, if you're a fan of the books, you can skip this pretty quickly, because if you know Pug and you know his habits, you can guess pretty quickly who might have some idea what the meaning of the Book of Macross is. And Feist did change this a little bit in the novelization Krondor, the Betrayal. The scenes play out pretty much as they do with Makala, but it turns out that Makala is lying through his teeth about what the Assembly is doing and just trying to piss Pug off into running off half-cocked and getting out of the way so he can enact his plan. Because, in case you hadn't guessed it at this point, The 6 magicians that are backing Delicon, the black-robed figures with the odd language who aren't Panafian serpent people, are in fact Surani Great Ones. Yeah, I paused for a moment there so you could be suitably shocked at that amazing revelation. Anyway, we will go ahead and stop this chapter here, and next time we shall begin exploring the sewers of Krondor and start Chapter 6 in earnest. We will see you next time.